time. Guarantee you one real good fine time. Drinking rum and Coca-Cola.
Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
I'm Eric Stromer.
And I guess it is cocktail hour somewhere.
That's my theme song for the summer, I've decided.
Coca-Cola.
Thank you, Peter Montoya, for bringing that good music.
A little festive number. And so, as you're thinking of entertaining or just relaxing and you're outside somewhere, in your yard, in your patio, you might be thinking, I just don't have enough time for this. And so here's a tip. Yeah. Why not get rid of the backbreaking labor of soil prep? We're going to come up with some really easy ways to enjoy your yard and say, you know what? It's okay to be lazy. I'm going to be a lazy gardener.
I'll tell you, it's hard, and when you're lazy, you got to definitely have pants that you can move around in. Because I'll tell you, have you seen the new fashion for men's shorts?
Yes.
They're tighter.
Oh, that's not
attractive.
And
they're restrictive. They look good.
Hot pants.
But they're too tight, and I feel like I got to have a Sansa belt, an expandable waist.
Yeah, well, so we want you to be properly dressed and then be thinking of, number one, here's a tip, your secret garden prep, the first thing that you want to do, get out the trusty weed eater, not a fancy one, kind of a lightweight string version, kind of knock down the grass in the area where you want to create your lazy garden. And so now you're going to basically, lay the landscape fabric over the area where you knocked the grass down. And that landscape fabric is going to really help you make sure that that the weeds aren't going to come through.
Okay, now let me tell you about the landscape fabric.
Yes.
Here's what I love about it. It like you said, the water goes through, the weeds don't come up. And it's important when you do the landscape fabric that you utilize the stakes.
Thank you.
That hold them in place, because if you don't, when you put your topper on, and that could be your bark or your mulch, whatever you do, it won't move around. And if kids or dogs or pets run through the garden bed, it's easy to make that stuff move around. And then once it's moved underneath the topper, basically you have to start over again because it's completely ineffective.
Oh, yeah.
So use the stakes and overlap by 6 inches when you do that stuff on that fabric underneath your topper.
Kind of like maybe a crisscross or
just as long as you get 6 inches onto the other one, and then you stake both of them, right?
Okay.
And that's you'll be fine if you stake them. If you don't, it's a nightmare.
Okay, very good tip.
Yep.
So what we're going to do for step one to be a lazy gardener is we're going to turn an area into a section where you don't really have to prepare the soil. You're not going to really plant anything. You're going to turn a section into just like a riverbed of rocks.
That's a beautiful look. We saw that too. And again, with the riverbed of rocks, you want the weed screen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you can get this fabric at the big box stores, right?
And buy an air on the side of more substantial.
Yeah.
Don't get the super thin stuff that looks like paper towel. Mm-hmm. Get the thicker stuff that's really, really durable because it'll last you forever.
And get more than you need probably too.
Yeah,
right?
it comes in big rolls, and then it's usually black, comes in big rolls, and then again you just layer it like you would layer roofing material so that there's overlap. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So then now that you have the landscape fabric down, and you can buy some of these river rocks, you can buy them by the bag.
Yep.
Right, at the big box stores as well. And so now just imagine turning an area. Now you want to have some design.
Yeah, you want your undulation.
You want it to kind of flow. Like, how did you do that when you made your pond? You made it kind of flow like a river.
Well, that one, I literally, I put a hose out and let it find its own natural egress down a slight slope.
So maybe we can do the same thing here?
If you have a slope, you can do it. If you don't, you can make it up, and you can just actually put a hose out and trace, make an undulation shape with a hose and make it, parallel lines. And then you could actually spray, that outdoor orange spray paint along on your turf to mark your pattern, take the hose away, and then dig that shape into the grass to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You want to take the grass or the sod out, and then dig down a little bit deeper, put your weed cloth down in that new trench that you've made. Mm-hmm. It only has to be about, maybe 5-6 inches. And then put your weed screen down there, make sure that it doesn't, come up over the edges too far.
Maybe use some kind of a border on the edge, too, to create your river. Maybe use some bricks or some kind of paving stone.
Yeah, or bigger, more substantial rocks if you want to stay in that look.
Nice,
right?
That's true.
And then just fill them in as you go. And those bags that they sell of those river rocks are pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to need a lot of them. So plan on making a bunch of trips. And also when you're lifting them into the car, be very, very careful because
your back.
Sometimes they put them a little heavier, then it's easy to lift.
Yeah.
Right? So,
or maybe you might want to hire someone to help you, you know.
you can also go to the outdoor stone yards and stuff and the hardscaping yards, and they'll deliver for not a huge amount of money. Makes a huge difference if a truck just shows up and then dumps the stones right there close to the area where you're working. Then you don't have to do the wheelbarrow and move them back and forth. It's if you can get the dump truck to get close to where you're working, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, but I love the idea of basically creating your own little river where it's, I mean, this is going to be an instant lazy garden. You're going to save on water, right? And you're going to save on effort because now it's just instant beauty without having to do anything.
Yeah, and if trees are above and they drop, leaves on them, all you need to get yourself is a little blower, blow that stuff right off. Done.
Now, here's some other things. Let's say that, when it comes to growing a garden, that you just feel like when you touch anything, it dies.
Yeah.
Right? Well, here are some other easygoing plant suggestions so that in addition to your plant-free riverbed of rocks, and by the way, in addition to using rocks, I've also seen this done with recycled glass.
Oh, yeah,
where
that's
it looks
pretty.
like water. So be creative.
Gorgeous.
That's where you go to the fireplace stores. You can buy big bags of this stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
They sell it in big bags, or it comes in 5-gallon
pounds of
containers.
it. Yeah. Like landscape designers buy them huge by the bulk, and it's very beautiful to use like an emerald green or like a clear sky blue.
Yeah,
and have that flow.
mix those colors together, and then it almost looks like Caribbean water.
Yeah,
Caribbean Queen. Thank you.
Yeah, so now you have not only a getaway, but you've saved on effort, and how gorgeous that will look.
Guess what? You're not using water either.
But here's some other things. How about bamboo? Now, it's quite possibly the easiest plant on the planet to grow. Bamboo technically is grass, but it grows like a weed.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you get the right kind of bamboo, right? You want to get something that is called clumping bamboo because it's a little less of the kind that's going to, take over to your neighbor's yard.
I had that kind that took over.
Yeah.
And the only way to eradicate it is to dig it up and start over, or put very deep wire, hardware cloth they call it, into the earth to prevent it from, rooting and trailing, because it goes crazy. If you don't have the right stuff, you got to have it in containers. But your clumping stuff,
the clumping stuff is great.
That provides hope to me.
It's not going to be as invasive, you know. And there's some really beautiful varieties. There's some now. There's like a black bamboo that's out there.
I haven't seen it.
Where it kind of adds. It has some black and green in it, so it looks like a beautiful rainforest. So think about that. Succulents. We love succulents, right? And now they're everywhere. I mean, you go to the grocery store and they want you to buy a container of succulents for $25.
That's right.
And you can do cheaper. You can go, to the cheaper stores and make it yourself.
Since you brought me a gift of a succulent that I
the
literally
terrarium?
no.
Oh, the succulent from our yard.
I just put it in my dirt and it starts growing. So listen, if you're worried about spending a lot of money on succulents, just go to your neighbors and pull off a couple pieces. Just tell them to look the other way.
Yeah,
just look over there and then just rip it out.
Well, plant swapping is a great way to help, cross-pollinate people's gardens.
That's
do think about succulents if you haven't become, a junkie like we are yet. There's a really big reason to love succulents of all kinds because they take very little effort. Many of them flower, distinctive different colors and textures, and just amazing. Flowers themselves, right? The peace lily. Now, I know that you've been the peace lily fan. This actually is a great one because it takes hardly no coaxing from a gardener. You're going to be able to, you gave this as a gift, right, as a plant, and now you have it in the yard. So think about the peace lily. It's great because it has that little white flower, and then it has the beautiful green waxy leaves. Ivy, you know what I mean? Ivy, by the way, is a plant that you would want to neglect. It grows very quickly. It can take over an area, and that is all about being lazy and having effortless gardens.
Good idea.
So all this will go on the website, as always, at yourhomewizards.com. And remember this, the key is under the mat.